Hello everybody. Here we're going to be talking about the eGo AIO, or it can also be called the AIO, whatever you might want to call it. It's a new series that Joyetech has come out with. You also have the eGrip 2 now. We have the eVic, but right now we're just going to speak about the eGo AIO. Here we have the box. That is the eGo AIO. What we're going to talk about here is first the pros and cons of what I personally feel with this specific unit. As you watch this video a little bit longer, I will of course get it into what's in the box, and then finally, well, how to put the unit together. So everything's kind of all in one on this particular video. We're going to try to do that from now on our Z6 videos. So the eGo AIO, here I have it right here. It's a pretty simple unit, and here in 2017, this is really a great balance of a unit as far as quality versus price, and that's pretty big. Joyetech had done very, very well for many, many years. We saw a little bit of a lag there with some of their technology and their products, but they've really bounced back, especially in the last year or so. So we have a lot of great units that we're seeing coming out of Joyetech. Now, with this specific AIO, it's a very simple unit. The first, as far as the pros goes for this specific unit that you have here, is number one, size. So your size is very good on there. I'll put it actually in my hand so that you can see it there. Secondary thing, which is great, and this is very new technology, is what's called a top fill design. So you actually would fill this from the top end. You also have airflow control. Airflow control is very important. On some models, it becomes even more important. On this specific one, because we don't have a different voltage in that, you're looking where it really is specific for how that inhale feels. So if you're previously smoking cigarettes, you know, how you inhale on your cigarette is a little bit different than everybody else. Having that airflow control allows you to do that. So that is another pro that is operated actually up on there. Another one is, of course, this is a USB PTC model. So what that means is you can plug it in and you can use it while it's actually charging. So that's also very handy. As far as your battery life, you're looking at a 1500 mAh battery, so that's pretty good for having this this much mAh on board of such a smaller unit that you have. Secondary thing is you have 2 milliliters worth of e-liquid, e-juice, whatever you might want to call it, that you can actually put in this specific one. So pros, of course, like I said, you have the top fill, you had the airflow design. Another nice thing is when we'd actually hit this button, this chamber within here will actually change colors. It's not very noticeable on the video. I've already checked it, so I'm not going to do it. You can even change 7 different colors, but getting into the color, why it is kind of nice to have is it shows you when the unit is actually operating. Let's say in your normal green stage, that is one of the ones that you see there. And also when you're charging it, when you do plug it in, it is going to change colors, and it is going to go from green to red while it's actually charging. So you have a lot of visual signals, which is also very nice with this specific unit. Let's get into the cons of this unit. The very first one that I would like to say is it's very simple. You don't have your variable voltage on board, so you cannot control what your wattage is on this specific unit. So that kind of limits it down that you have there. Another con that I would kind of like to say is it's okay on the vapor and the flavor output. There are much better units out there, but for what this is and what the price is, it's a great unit. It is very good if you are just starting out. You don't want to unload a ton of your hard-earned money. This would be a great one to actually try. And like I said, it's not terrible, but I like to be as honest as possible. It does put out a good vapor. It does put out a good flavor. For me personally, I even have this in my wheelhouse of units that I definitely use there. I also look at this as a nice little backup unit, especially, again, bringing up that price point that we're looking at with this. So it's just a nice, simple unit. There aren't any bells and whistles with that, but what's kind of nice, too, is some people don't want to have all those bells and whistles, and if you're one of those, then this is a great little unit that you have. This is a sub-ohm unit. Sub-ohm, of course, is a different kind of a classification of your vaping experience. It is indeed sub-ohm as far as your ohm rating goes, so that means it goes under 1.0. Now this guy here, it kind of peters out at the 0.5 mark. The coils that it actually comes with is a 0.6. So we kind of talked about the unit here, some of the pros and cons. Now we're actually going to get into the unit itself, how it actually works, how you would actually work everything that you have there. First, we'll just go through what's in the box itself. Of course, you do have the unit. When a unit is shipped to you, it is shipped to you without the coil head. Sorry about that, everybody. These aren't always the most professional, but I do my best. All right, so you don't have that coil head that's actually in there. The coil head is in the box itself. What'll happen is you're going to have a smaller box that's hidden below, and within this box, you're not going to get just one, but you're actually going to get two, what's called a 0.6 coil. Now, this particular model, you can go upwards. There are other universal coil heads. That's kind of nice. Talking about that eGo, the eGo AIO, I had mentioned there's the eVic, and there's also the eGrip. All of them have the same coil heads that you can swipe around. So that's very nice. This one here, like I said, you can't go down. There is a 0.25 that you can use on some of the other models. On this model here, it will not accommodate it because it is not wattage unit, and where the settings are actually put at on this specific unit, it just won't fire. We've even tried it ourselves there. Now, you can go into one of the higher ones, the 1.0 or the 1.5, and of course, as you go a little bit higher, you're going to get a little bit more of a basic flavor and vapor balance. As you start going lower on that resistance, it's going to get warmer. You're not going to want to use as high of a milligram level of your nicotine. I don't want to get too much into that on this specific video. We do have the information, of course, on our website. We call it the 5 keys of vaping, and it kind of puts everything together that you have there for you. So now what's in this box here? Like I said, you have your 2 coil heads that are actually in this specific unit here. You also have your micro USB charger. Micro USBs are very, very popular this day and age. If you've been vaping for a long time, you know back in the day they would also include a wall charger or USB to wall charger. You're not seeing that in these units anymore. They've really just kind of done away with that. So you do have the micro USB. Finally, what I would like to say is you're going to notice in the box that you're going to have a secondary mouthpiece, or what's also called a drip tip. Now, these mouthpieces, you might just visually look at them and go, okay, this one's clear, and the one that is actually on there is not clear. It's a black one. Well, there is another trick that's hidden within these, and that is, of course, this specific one here. It has a spiral that is built in, so the way that the vapor actually comes into your mouth does change a little bit. So these are very easy to do as far as the swapping. Now, your last thing, of course, is you have your quick guide that is by Joytech. They're getting a little bit better with the English and the instructions, but hopefully with this video comboed in there, you're going to get everything that you have. Another thing, of course, is they're going to talk about the priming of your coil head, which is very important. I'm going to review that right now in this specific video. So like I said, we kind of just went over what's actually in the box that you have right there. Now we're actually going to look at the physical unit. Now, this is one of the very first units I'm aware of which technically has a child safety cap to it. What that means is you do have to put a little bit of pressure down to unscrew this top end. Like I said, it is a top fill, so it's pretty easy. All you do is you unscrew this portion here, and that allows you to put the liquid in there. Now, there is a very small marking of how high you want to do your liquid. On the black model, you almost can't even see it, but it is right there. I just kind of go with the rule of thumb, a little bit above the half that you have there, and then you're going to fill it up. So like I said, we've just undone that. I can, of course, show you what the tip coming off of there would actually be. So switching those tips are pretty easy. And this portion right here is actually where your airflow control is. I'll get into that in a minute there. What I do want to get into is, of course, the unit itself with your coil head. So like I said, you had that coil head, and the coil head just simply goes onto here, and it screws on like so. So it's very, very easy. I'm not going to put it on there right now because we're going to talk about priming right at the end of this video that we do have. But those are some of your different things that you have as far as how the coil head itself goes on, where the liquid filling is. Your last thing is your fire button. So your fire button, it's industry standard. Pretty much all units nowadays, it's 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. And it's very rapid succession that you do it. I will do it very quickly here for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you may have caught a little bit of a light change on this particular unit. It does show that it is on now. I did mention that you can change the colors. It's very easy to change the colors. All you simply do is 5 clicks for the off, and when it's actually in the off position, what you do is you'd push and hold and you'd wait, and then you're going to get a visual indicator, and now it's showing me a blue color, and now I just change it to green, and now from there it's still green. Oh, I waited too long. So if I keep on going through, it actually rotates through 7 different colors. Some people have a preference as far as their different colors go. So kind of talking about this unit here, you have your charge point that is hidden right onto the back of the specific unit. So one of the nice things with that is a lot of times it'd be on the bottom. Here, you can actually place this in an upright actual position while it's charging. And like I said, you can use this while it is charging. So the last thing that we're going to get into is the priming of the coil. That's why, of course, Joytech even put this little yellow guy that you have in here. This is really, really important stuff as far as priming your coil. It's extremely simple to do, but it is something that is definitely required. Now, I'm showing you the exposed portion of the head. This is the part that actually screws on, and there's a little bit of a screen there. This is the area that you actually want to prime a little bit, and then there's going to be one other step that we're going to talk about. Why is priming so easy? A lot of people don't pay attention. They take this guy, they throw it on there, you do a couple of vapes, and that very first vape, you're going to get a burnt, harsh taste. That burnt, harsh taste is what's hidden within here is cotton. And what happens is that cotton wicking is physically burning. When that actually burns, you're going to have some leaking issues now because you don't have the proper amount of cotton that's actually in there. And it can lead to a host of all kinds of problems. This is probably the biggest mistake and error that a vapor user uses by not priming their coil. And a lot of people just simply don't know about it. How do you do it? It's pretty easy. So on this here, what I would simply do is I would take a bottle of e-liquid, and it's kind of nice if you get the bottles of e-liquid, of course, with the slim tips on there. And what I would do is I would literally do about 5 drops right into here. And, I'll visually look there. I don't want to overflow it. If you do overflow it, it's not going to be terrible, but you might get a little bit of liquid up into your mouthpiece, and that's because you've overfilled it. You've flooded this coil head that you have there. So once you've done that, you've done those 5 clicks there, 5 drips there. The next thing is you want to fill this up halfway. And then after you've filled that halfway, like I said, this simply just goes onto here, and you screw this guy on like so. And there it is. It's completely on there. I didn't fill this particular one up with liquid, but if it had the liquid, this would go on here now. We'd close that on up. Your final step, we have taken the time to actually prime that coil head, but now put this down in the upright position for 5 minutes. I would say not just this unit, but all units that you want to do that. 5 minutes is a good time. Just gives that that coil head the time to absorb all of that liquid, and then after 5 minutes, just vape on, everybody. So like I said, this is the eGo AIO. It's a nice, simple unit, not a ton of bells and whistles, but if that's what you're looking for, then this could be very perfect for you. And hopefully you enjoyed this particular video. The last point that I do want to make about this one, I know I talked about the airflow control. I do want to tap on that. There is a little bit of a con with this specific model. And that is how the airflow design is. The airflow design, like I said, is on the top here, and you just turn it from left to right as you have. And if you look very, very closely, there's going to be little notches to actually show you. Well, I said one of the nice things is you have this child safety kind of pressure to unlock that. You're also kind of messing around with your airflow control every time you fill it in there. So you're going to have to dial it in a little bit to correct that airflow control that might have changed when you refilled the liquid. It's not a big deal, but it is a con. And like I said, I do like to kind of mention the pros and the cons of these units. This particular one, this is pretty new stuff that we have here. And it works like a workhorse for what the unit is. So that's it for now, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye-bye.